What is up, my YouTube viewers? This is the Summaries channel, and today we have the detailed review on the Li-Ning Wave Weight 2 in the 305 colorway. Now these guys I've played in a bunch of times, and I'm ready to give you my thoughts on it and how they play. So without rambling on, let's get straight into the materials. So if any of you guys are not familiar with the Li-Ning brand or the Wave Weight signature brand of shoes, you guys should know, well, most of you who do know, is that they use high quality raw materials. So this specific colorway has a mixture between a very nice tumbled leather and a smooth leather that you see around the heel here. And on some of the other colorways, they will feature different kinds of patterns, or not really patterns, but textures of leather. They'll use stingray leather, they'll use tumbled leather like this, and they'll use just a full-on smooth leather. But this colorway, like I said, just features mostly a tumbled leather. And in my opinion, it wrapped around nicely around my foot. I didn't have any pains whatsoever. The only downside to raw materials is that the break-in process will be a lot longer compared to a shoe with synthetic materials or fuse. So leather does break in eventually, but it will take a lot more time to break in. But like I said, it wraps around the foot nicely. It creases up nicely as well. I played in these guys lots, and the durability of leather is really good too. So these guys will last you a pretty long amount of time if you're planning to play basketball in these. I know a lot of people like to wear these casually, but for basketball purposes, the materials are no issue for basketball. So leather, really nice, really durable, and it's overall pretty good materials used on these Wave Weights. Cushion found on the Li-Ning Wave Weight 2 is a not really different kind of setup, but a sort of a new setup that Li-Ning features on the Wave Weight specifically, is their bounce and cushion tech. So we have here a very nice Phylon midsole. However, it is very firm once you put your foot in it and play basketball for the first time in these. So like I said, in the material section, the break-in process is a little more longer opposed to another shoe like fuse-based shoes. But this shoe, however, the midsole, the materials, the outsole, they all need break-in time for it to feel comfortable. But like I said, Phylon midsole, and their bounce cushion is in the forefoot, and then the cushion, which is just called cushion, is in the heel here. You can see in that indentation right there, the foam. But the bounce cushion in the forefoot is supposed to have a higher rebound than ordinary midsole, so it'll give you more of a propelling feeling in the forefoot. At first, I didn't feel it at all when I first played in it, but once the break-in process was developing more and more, once I started feeling a little more better and more active around my foot, you really can't feel that springiness. I know a lot of people can't really feel the springiness in the forefoot, but I could. It didn't really give as much responsiveness as the forefoot, but the heel does do its job for impact protection, as well as the Phylon midsole. So you can see all the creasing right there from compression. You can see on the other shoe as well, the compression on the other side. But yeah, a little more usage of breaking time in these guys, and you're pretty much good to go. Cushion gave you really good impact protection and a slight responsiveness in that forefoot. So cushion I thought was pretty decent. Could it have been better? Yeah, but it is what it is. It is only their second signature model for Dwayne Wade, so the cushion you can't really go wrong with. So the traction is pretty solid. On clean courts, these stuck very good. No complaints on clean courts. You're gonna have a good time playing in these shoes. But once you got on those dustier courts, those regular 24-hour courts, you will start noticing the rubber pick up more dust just because of how sticky the rubber is when you first pull them out of the box. The rubber itself is very hard, so these will work good outdoors as well. I haven't tried it outdoors, but I'm pretty sure it would do good. But on those dustier courts, you will have to wipe consistently to maintain that solid traction. It's not really your typical designed for a traction. It's more of like a storytelling almost, not really herringbone or anything like that. It's just lines, but it does do its job on clean courts. So the overall traction on this shoe is pretty solid. The only complaint that I had was that the rubber starting to peel off here, and it's only on this portion side, on the medial side, where your the ball of the foot is pretty much, but right there where it wraps up, you can see the rubber is peeling off in certain areas. On the other shoe, it's peeling off on the toe, which is rather strange, but it's not peeling off that much here. It's just right here. The rubber kind of stripped off of there, so that's not really a good thing, especially paying 150 bucks for these. Saying that it does have high quality, well, not saying that it has high quality. I know the materials have high quality, but the rubber could have been at least a little more durable. So that was my only complaint for the traction, but overall the traction as far as gripness goes, it's pretty solid. So next we're going to be talking about lockdown and support. So the lockdown and support for the Li-Ning Waveway 2s was pretty surprising. It was really good. The leather wrapped around your foot was really good as well. Like I keep on saying, it's just a break-in time that you'll have to hinder, and you're gonna have to experience it, especially with this kind of setup with the leather-based raw material for a shoe. So yeah, once the break-in process is completely done, you'll experience a very nice lockdown feature. These rubberized plastic eyelets for the lacing system really do hug the foot good, and the laces are pretty thick. I had to adjust the laces at the eyelets. The stock eyelets were laced all the way up to the top one. I had to lace them up on this part right here. You can see on the other side as well. But I like this setup because it's nice when you tie it up. The only downside to this is that they are so thick. It does take a longer amount of time when you're unlacing and lacing it back up. So the laces, if you want to switch out with a more thinner and easier feeling lace, because this lace is really tough, like it's really hard to, not really hard to bend, but like it's more stiffer than any other laces that you've seen on Nikes and Jordans and all that stuff. But this lace, however, is very thick and stiff, so lacing it and unlacing it, like I said, it will give you a little more time to adjust to that. The laces are pretty stiff to pull in as well and pull out. You can see right there, it's pretty stiff. So that's my only downfall to the lockdown and support. If you want a more of a natural feeling lockdown feature for your foot, on top of your foot in the midfoot section right here, you can swap out to different laces. And then more on the support side, you have this giant carbon fiber support shank in the midfoot. It extends from the lateral and medial side right there. There's also a little bit of a plastic spring plate to help with that bounce cushion in the forefoot, which is really nice. So and then you also have this TPU kind of cage wrapping around above the midsole right there. And then you also have an internal TPU heel cup. So overall, the lockdown support was pretty good. The only downfall, like I said, was just these laces. You can swap them out, so yeah, they'll fix all of that. So lockdown support was pretty nice. The breathability, honestly, was pretty terrible. That's normal on this type of shoe with a lot of raw materials used in this shoe. The tongue is heavily padded and heavily lined back with this nylon feeling protection and cushion. The cushion right here is very nice as well, but the inner lining, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a mesh lining underneath the tongue. It's also over the tongue, if you can see it right there. It hinders the lace, or not the lace, it hinders the breathability because the laces are so thick. You won't really notice the air coming in and coming out of the tongue because the laces are blocked. So breathability kind of sucked on these guys. So my overall thoughts about the Li-Ning Waveway 2s, they're pretty decent. A solid performer on court. If you want to rock these casually, they'll look really fresh as well if you rock them casually. But on the performance side of things, these were pretty good. The materials are probably the best thing about the shoe, and probably the worst thing about this shoe is the breathability. But overall, you get pretty good impact protection with that cushioned midsole. The traction was pretty solid, and the lockdown support was surprisingly good as well. So yeah, this shoe I'd recommend to anybody that wants to be more diverse. Instead of picking a shoe you'd normally pick from Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, and all those other known brands. If you want to branch out and look for different kind of brands for basketball, I'd recommend the Li-Ning. So yeah, this will conclude my detailed review on this shoe, the Li-Ning Wave 2s. I'm hoping to cop some more in the coming months. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See you later.